We will have another keynote, so please stay here. That would be nice. That would be great. So we've heard now that the fintech environment has some challenges coming up with cybersecurity, also with some regulatory compliance requirements. But we will learn now that there are also some supervisory practices that might need to change in the future. So I think new challenges coming actually up through the new type of banking hub in Berlin, for example, alongside Frankfurt. This is just one example, I believe. So what this means in detail will Waldemar Grudzien, please. Apologize if I pronounce it in a not correct way. Who is the expert director of CORE? He will tell us more about it in his keynote and his function. He deals with the regulation and supervision of security and data protection and their technology effects on IT infrastructure, which I think is rather interesting. Since May 2021, he is also the chairman of the Information Security Working Group at Bitkom that has 1,400 members. So I think also their supervisory is sometimes needed. So we're happy to hear more about it.
Thanks a lot. Unfortunately, I forgot your name, but...
Sabrina.
Okay, thanks, Sabrina. Okay, where's Mr. Wilde? He left already, sorry for that, because I would like to use some quotes of him, two quotes. Firstly, he introduced 44er Sonderprüfung, paragraph section 44 of Kreditwesengesetz. It is a game changer, as you will see, for the neobanks in Berlin, because all the neos are in Berlin, more or less there's one in Munich. And I would like to contradict a little bit to Mr. Wilde. You cannot be compliant in the GDPR 100%, not in Germany, above all not in Berlin. Maybe some words for me or about me. I will start on the right side because, for example, I was the head of data privacy at Luca. And you know Luca, Kontaktnachverfolgung, horrible thing. No, it's not horrible. But in Germany, it's horrible to make something with health data and something like Kontaktnachverfolgung. I would like to say that for sometimes in the last year, I think I was worse than a diesel SUV driver in Berlin and maybe a Lordland of flats in Berlin. The Luca DPO, what I was and still are, is really a horrible job in Berlin for the oversight of data privacy in Berlin. Okay, from the left, a little bit history. I'm working with CORE since for 6 years. We were bought last year by EPAM. EPAM is, it's not known, but we have 62,000 software engineers worldwide, and we are the supplier of we are the backbone for the Silicon Valley. And just an example, EPAM is founded by two Belarus people. Now they're in the US, of course. Yeah. And they created also the digitalization platform for the Ukrainian state, and it's still working in wartime conditions. So we do not speak of an MVP or a concept or some slides like I have here with you. We speak about fundamental infrastructures which tries to save lives in the Ukraine. So we were bought last year by EPAM. I hope that they know what they do. I think so. We are CORE. We are 120 experts. Our headquarters in Berlin. We have some offices in Europe. And according to a former president of the BaFin, Mr. Hufeld, CORE has always been unpleasantly noticed for its quality. I think it's a wonderful, it's not a joke, it's a compliment, I would say. And CORE acquired me 6 years ago, as I said, and I am the expert director at CORE, as Sabrina said already. And as I'm a little bit older than all the FinTechs here, I have a history. I worked for 15 years at the BDB, Bundesverband Deutscher Banken. How is it possible to come from the BDB to CORE? I don't know it by my own, but I survived. And I have a PhD in electronics, and I studied also MBA, Volkswirtschaftslehre. And now it's the most important thing. I found the UP-Kritis, Umsetzungsplan kritische Infrastruktur, and it's very important to know because we delayed the IT-Sicherheitsgesetz, the IT Security Act 1.0 for 7 years. And I worked together with 4 Ministers of Interior in that times, from 2008 until 2015. I also co-developed the NIST directive, the European IT-Sicherheitsgesetz, IT Security Act, the PSD2 and the BITE, what was also mentioned by Mr. Wilde. I also was a founding member in 2015 of the IT expert committee of the BaFin, Fachgremium IT. And if you wish, I can work for you as an ISO and DPO, but I don't want. Okay, so this is my history. As you see, the financial institutions, and I speak not only of banks, but also of neobanks, insurance companies, and payment systems, we cannot complain of a lack of attention by the supervisory authorities. That means by the BaFin, Bundesbank, ECB, and EU Commission. And I would like to concentrate only today on data protection. That's row number 4 and row number 7, security. And to sum it up, I hope that the future will be DORA, because DORA will hopefully replace all the other acts which you can see on the left. On the left of DORA, that means above all the EMA risk, byte side with a Z, wide for the insurance companies, and all the other funny abbreviations, TIBE, pen testing, by law in the nearest future. As you may know already, DORA will force all of you, or above all the critical suppliers of payment infrastructure to conduct every 3 years pen test, the so-called, how do they call it? Risikoorientierte, risk-oriented pen testing. So this will come with DORA. So go ahead and pen test you already as soon as you can. And data privacy, okay, I said already some words to data privacy. I hope that Schrems 2, the US cloud FISA, all the mad discussions, and not only discussion, but also mad, for me, mad implications for the German or European business, but for German business, will be overcome by the new, what is it? I forgot now even the German word. The US and Europe are contracting at times a new, what is it? Can you help me? Data privacy? Not Schrems. Not the next privacy shield. What is the expression of it? Something with an A. No, it will come during my presentation. Something with an A. What was it? Angemessenheitsbeschluss. Angemessenheitsbeschluss from the European Commission for the US, whatever it is in English. So I think the future is DORA, and if I would be in your situation, I would concentrate here on 3 things. Build up an ISMS, Information Security Management System. You are forced by law to have it as a bank or insurance company, but I know that you don't have it. Normally, our customers, all the big names, they have a skeleton of an ISMS, but you need now a better one. And then try to certificate one of your business processes according to the ISO 27001. That's the first task. What I would do, the second one is plan up a hyperscaler, your hyperscaler infrastructure with US hyperscalers, and second one without US hyperscalers because of the madness from the German data privacy oversight. And the third one is try to meet already all the requirements which you will get by DORA. DORA will come into force, I think, not earlier than 24. So you have some, let me say, 6 quarters or so for preparation. This is taken out of our audit experience, which we simply have as core because we are involved in different stages of the 44 audits. What you can see here is in the upper row, this is the average duration of an 44 audit. It lasts between 6 and 8 months on average. That means from the announcement that the BaFin will come to audit you according to 44 until you get the clear text, the fair text, that means the Reinschrift of the audit report, 8 months. And if you are not on the lucky side, I will come later with some examples, then you get a growth restriction. And that means a growth restriction on getting new customers and on launching new services to the market. And during the average time of 8 months, you are not allowed to grow. And if you are a neobank, it could threaten your viability. What simply happens in Berlin, sometimes, not only one time, at a time. No. And so if you take an audit as a release cycle, because the audit duration is a release. You have to wait about 8 months. And think about the release cycles of the traditional banks. These are the three pillar banks: savings banks, commercial banks, and credit unions. They have in that time of 8 months about 8 to 10 release cycles. And then think of the neobanks. We call them the fourth pillar neobanks. They have release cycles of 80 to 100 pieces in the 8 months duration. So you can imagine what it means for you if you are keen on, you have to be innovative, and you are not allowed during the time to be innovative because you have a growth restriction. That means also that you cannot launch new services on the market. Okay, so it's not so lucky anymore. Yeah.
Is that growth restriction given by law, or does the regulator has?
By the special representative, by BaFin, by the BaFin.
Yeah, but is it 100% cases and zero growth, or is
Zero.
there some?
Simply zero. I cannot give you names, of course, but this is zero. Zero means null. They have to wait until they have remediate all the findings. I will come later to some findings.
No differentiation between regulated banks and neobanks, or
There are differences. Next slides, okay? Here's the difference. Okay, this is taken out from public sources. It's not something from, I don't know, unknown sources, simply from newspapers and online papers, okay? And as you can see, it's only an example of 3 banks. Deutsche Kreditbank, it's not a Neo, it's a Sparkasse, Savings Bank, Trade Republic, and N26. And during a period of 3 years, and the DKB had 6 shutdowns, or 6 outgauge, as you can see in that month from 19 to 21. The Trade Republic had 1 last January. Not 22, sorry, January 21. It's a famous GameStop case. It was 1. And Neobank in these times had no shutdowns. N26, sorry. N26 had no outgauges of the infrastructure for the core business. And Trade Republic is so far not AWS. N26 is on AWS. DKB is on-premise. And as you see here, the Trade Republic got a 44 audit due to this one outage of a third-party provider of Trade Republic. DKB did not get an audit. The case was, as BaFin told us, only by mouse, resolved differently. And N26 has other problems, but not of the outage, okay? So we need trust, and the scope for interpretation or even arbitrariness, what is it in German? Willkür. In decision-making, 44 audits does not promote the trust in supervision authorities. And equal treatment means through European standardization of all elements of an audit could be reached then if we will have an equal treatment. The same business as we hear today from Mr. Wirmeling, same business, same risk, same treatment. And the last stage isn't in the market, according to our experience. And we are, of course, on talks with the BaFin and the Bundesbank. So what should be done? What are the homeworks for all stakeholders in the financial market in Germany? As I said, as I'm writing here, all participants in the financial market face, of course, different homework, but they have the same external factors. So what I see is for the supervision oversight, sie ziehen durch. They pull through after Wirecard and Grudzien. Now, unfortunately, more to the neobanks, not widespread through the whole market. We have seen during the audits a big lack of technical know-how. They simply focus on compliance with, to be very formal, with little consideration of operational and above all of technical realities. I will have some example later in 2 slides or so. And the supervisory objects, Aufsichtsobjekt, I like this expression, Aufsichtsobjekt, are not treated equally, as I already said. The 3 pillars, these are the savings banks, commercial banks, and credit unions, Genossenschaftsbanken. It's also a quotation. They have little fat on the ribs. Wie sagt man auf Deutsch? wenig Speck auf den Rippen, little movement, stagnation, and they hope for the Zinswende, for the interest rate turnaround. And if this is the only hope, the only business model, we will see what will happen in some months. And these institutions have a high organizational maturity, of course, but a low business dynamic and a low growth mindset. Compliance is really well known as a three-pillar model and established topics somehow. The NEOs, they are now confronted with increased attention from the supervisory authorities. It's new for them, it's simply new for them. The NEOs are mostly less than 5 years on the market. If 44 audits, or generally speaking, all the BaFin, Bundesbank stuff is new for them. It's not an exclusion or so, but it's simply new. And what is also missing here is a standardization. What do I mean with this? Do you know what F1 to F4 really mean? Who doesn't know F1, F2, F2, F3, F3, F4? Das sind die Feststellungen, the findings. The classification of the findings, Feststellung by the BaFin. And the only handout on findings in this is the document Klassifizierung der Prüfungsfeststellung. And only the Wirtschaftsprüfer, the auditing companies, gets this one-page document, and this is simply too little. So the NEOs also have a lack of understanding what does the BaFin mean with F2 or F4 or whatever. You will see in the next slide the one-pager. And okay, the external factors are geostrategic, technological, and industrial, data protection, I already mentioned, consumer protection, and now the new thing, die neue Sau durchs Dorf, I don't know what it is in English, is immunity, sovereignty. The problem with this is that we do not have in Europe the infrastructure for immunity and sovereignty. So at the end, like Gaia X, we will still be dependent on US-driven clouds. Yeah. So what does F1, F2, F3, and F4 really mean? This is the one-pager. It's not the slide. You will get, if you are a Wirtschaftsprüfungsgesellschaft, an audit company, you will get a text document of one page, and we have put it on a slide. This is all you can get about the findings. But as I said, the findings threaten your viability, your chance to survive. And this is something what we have put into, we try to interpret, it's a kind of interpretation what this could be. So this is 100% information given by the BaFin. This is some interpretation given by us in order to help the NEOs and also us to understand what they could mean with the findings. Here's some examples taken out of real audits in the last month. I called them Old World and New World. For example, 5 examples. Data processing is known to BaFin and Bundesbank in on-premise data centers. In New World, data processing is driven by hyperscalers infrastructure. The 3 known: Google, Cloud, AWS, and Azure, Microsoft Azure. The supervisory authority does not trust contractual regulations on data processing, like data are processed at sites in Frankfurt. They try to force the NEOs to name the data, the disk where the data are. The disk where the data are, okay. The next one, core banking system as a monolithical on-premise system. Core banking is now driven by SaaS, and here also by the authority it is denied a low failure rate and thus a high availability. The same for business continuity management, which is simply not a topic for a hyperscaler. That is one of the reasons why you have huge availability zones. BCM is simply commodity for them. The last one is the same. Denial of service is simply not an issue for hyperscalers. And the last but one, SFO, schriftlich fixierte Ordnung, a wonderful expression from me also, is normally in Atlassian, in Confluence in Atlassian. And this is also a horrible problem for the authority to develop trust in an SFO written down in Atlassian. So, okay, what can be done in the future? 1 minute, 2 minutes, 10 seconds. 2 minutes. 1 to 2. Okay, 3 pillars have something to do, the NEOs have something to do, and legislative supervision has, from my point of view, the most the most to do. What is common for all of them is the automation audit. Why? It was also an idea yesterday mentioned by Mr. Wirmeling. It's not his idea, but we should go together in this direction to automate the audits, because you have all the indicators, all the measuring points are in the infrastructure. Just give them an API for the Bundesbank and BaFin, and so they can continue measure the infrastructure. Okay. It could look like this. You have here some sources, you know, all the tools, OneTrust, Hopex, blah, 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 Okta. And you have a benchmarking module. You combine them in an analysis engine and put them to all the receivers. It could be the regulator, the Sonderbeauftragte, the special representative, and of course, group level, the interior receivers. This is also another idea for EU financial regulation framework. It's simply my idea. It's not given by the EU. And until now, we have only the first step. It's the legislation given by DORA. And if you go through all the 8 points or 8 steps, you will have an European first line of defense, second line of defense, controlled and much more trustworthy system as you have now. This is me. Okay, this is me together with my main colleagues who we together work. We had the compliance department at core. Any questions? Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Also an applause for Waldemar. Yeah, I'm really sorry that we are a bit running out of time.
Yeah.
So I would say one quick question we can do, and then I would just proceed to the other panel.
Of course.
Yeah, coming back to the question from before, based on which law can the regulator say there's zero growth and zero innovation during F44?
Paragraph 25 KWG.
So it's really hard.
Absatz 1.
All right,
Yeah.
okay.
It happens many times, not only once in Berlin or so. It happens on daily business, I would say. I cannot give you the names, but you have seen some names, okay?
Okay. So, yeah, Waldemar, thank you very much for that interesting keynote. I think, we can definitely take something back home. So looking maybe at the law again.
Keep in mind 44.
44. We will never forget it. Thank you very much.